welcome to this segment of Beer to Whiskey. I'm the host, Russ Heaps, and in my ongoing quest to spread the gospel of good taste, today I'm right here in my hometown of Greenville, South Carolina, and I'm at Brewery 85, and coincidentally it's right off I-85 on Whitley Court. And but before we really get into that, I want to introduce my beer drinking co-conspirator, Drew Wortham. And he's joining me here today because Lord knows I can't do this on my own. And anyway, a little self-promotion here. What do we want the folks to do, Drew?
They gotta like and subscribe, Russ.
You see the little thumbs up down in the lower screen. Click on that if you like what you see. If you want to subscribe, go to the very end of the video, and there's another page where you'll be able to click on other videos, and also a round Beer to Whiskey icon, and you can click on that to subscribe. And with the foreplay out of the way, I want to introduce the owner, and I'm assuming head brewer, yes?
I've kind of gravitated out of that job.
Have you? Okay. Well, good. We'll have something to talk about.
The hot bod, they call me.
Okay. Yeah.
Head of the board of directors that doesn't exist.
Okay. All right. Well, I think it's.
So you're the entire board.
Yeah.
I think it's apropos. Anyway, I'm here with Will McCameron, correct? And Will has owned this place from the beginning, and
along with my wife, and one of our third owners is Jeremy Caldwell.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit. I think the name's kind of self-explanatory, but was there some real thought process into that, or was that just so
there
obvious?
There was. So my wife is from Tucker, Georgia, Atlanta, but she's from one of those places like where she says she's from Atlanta. She's from Atlanta. Like everybody's like, oh, so actually Atlanta, not Rome or Alpharetta or Gainesville.
Right, the burbs.
Right. And Jeremy, our other owner, is from Anderson, and I'm born and raised here, right here in Greenville, South Carolina. Played t-ball over in Malden. So we had a couple names when we first started this whole thing, and we were actually going to be off the Swamp Rabbit trail, and we were going to call ourselves Swamp Rabbit Brewery. Then, but that property fell through. We didn't just want to be Greenville Brewing. I don't like the idea of naming something after myself, so I didn't like McCameron Brewing. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just I don't subscribe to that. We have a ethos that it's our beer, not my beer. And so we kind of were like, what's a synonym that ties the three of us together, this area together? And we got to thinking about the interstate. And it goes all the way from Alabama to Virginia, and the Bend, and it's the lifeblood of the South for industry, commerce, market, trade.
Right.
And the Bend happens right here in Greenville. And it kind of ties Meredith and Jeremy and I all together, and this whole area together too. And really, I say this now, but it's our footprint. Like if we ever are lucky enough to get really big, we never want to exceed that footprint from Alabama to Virginia.
As I recall, you actually studied brewing in Germany. Do I remember that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit. Remind me how you got started and what attracted you to this.
Sure.
What gave you the idea?
I got my undergrad in pretty much parties and drinking beer.
As
you would in Germany.
No, but as travel and tourism from Clemson. So actually, that's my job most days, is attracting people, spreading the gospel.
Right.
And then I was lucky enough to work in construction for a little while. Actually passed the NICET, so I became a certified engineer. And me and Meredith and Jeremy just homebrewed for a long time together. Everything from wine to beer and all sorts of stuff. And well, before that I worked for another local brewery here in Greenville for a little while. Burnt myself out. I've worked in retail. Also the Greenville Beer Exchange is another one I worked at. I was itching to get back into brewing, and I looked at Meredith and Jeremy. I said, let's do it, because we all have very complementing backgrounds and
Sure.
experience and talents. I went to a thing called, sorry about that, the World Brewing Academy, and it's a degree that combines two schools. So I moved to Chicago and attended the Siebel Institute of Technology. It's a very renowned, old school American brewing school that does a lot with yeast and Zymergy and malt and hops and everything.
Right.
And then you move to Munich and you go to the Doman's Academy. And then after that, it's kind of a tour all around Europe kind of deal. So get back and convince the bank to give me a boatload of debt, and here we are. And we're slowly taking small mouthfuls of the elephant and chipping away at it.
Well, I noticed, and I was telling Drew while we were setting up, that the first time I was in here, I think your brewery was primarily just this very end part. Do I remember that correctly?
So we've added a canning line and a couple of cellaring tanks.
Okay.
But yes, sir, it's we have a 30-barrel brew house and 4 60-barrel tanks and we had one small 15-barrel fermenter. But now we've got a couple 60-barrel, we call them bright tanks, where we cellar and carbonate and lager the beer, and then we have a smaller 15-barrel bright tank as well.
You mentioned that you're no longer head of brewing or the head brewer here.
Right.
Who's
So it's kind of a team effort.
Okay.
We have a guy named Matthew Nesbitt that started out as one of our interns and has worked his way up. We also have a guy named Thomas Westmoreland who he brewed at some of the same breweries I did here in Greenville, and he's a good fit. He actually went to VBN in Berlin for brew school. So he's one of our brewers. And then we have an assistant brewer that's still currently in Clemson, but his name's Alex Thompson. And then like the other weekend, I got up there and brewed, and we pulled a double sauce here till all hours of the night.
Wow.
Quite the experience.
With your German background, are you do you concentrate on German beers or European style, or do you kind of branch out and do all kinds of stuff?
We do about half and half. We do half the styles we do are traditional German style beers, ales, and lagers, and then the other half we do traditional American craft beers, but we do them in the German brewing method and use a lot of the same techniques that they do. And we always our motto is we marry American craft beer and German brewing techniques, as well as a little bit of Southern heritage and hospitality.
We're going to do something new that we
haven't done this. How about we do this?
All right. That's
Should have
even
started with
better.
that.
Yeah, should have started with that. Text Miss Lily. We're going to do something new we haven't done before, and it's a lightning round.
Sure.
And it's 5 questions, and you've got a total of 30 seconds to give me the 5 answers, and we're just going to run through them. None of them are difficult. There's no long division.
I feel like me and my wife watch the Andy Cohen show, where he makes people do a speed round.
Yep. Well, that's kind of what we're
Mostly just philosophical questions, things like that.
existential sort of things. So Drew has consented to be our timekeeper here, so he'll keep us on. And when your second hand hits where you need it to be, say go, Drew.
3, 2,
No.
1, go.
What was your first craft beer that you drank?
Sam Adams Oktoberfest.
What is your go-to beer if you can't get a Brewery 85 beer?
If I can get it, Augustine or Helles.
What is your favorite Brewery 85 beer
It depends. Changes with the seasons. I like them all.
right now?
Brown. What we're drinking right now.
All right. How many hours per week do you average at Brewery 85?
Too many for also be a husband and a father.
That's 30 seconds.
Oh my God! I didn't.
Yeah.
No need to expand upon your answers.
No. Let's keep going. Anywhere from, if I'm lucky, 40. If I'm not so lucky, 70, 80. Depending on how hard.
It's not as glamorous as it seems.
Depending on how hard crap's hitting the fan that week.
And the last question. In a sumo wrestling match, who would win, Michael Moore or Jack Black?
Jack Black.
He's got the youth.
He's stronger than you think, man.
Well,
Michael Moore would gladly make a documentary about it, though.
Do you notice though? Like, this is what I do. Like, I just saw like a little piece of lint there, and I'm just constantly having to go and do
Fidgety
a touch
hands?
and yes,
Yeah.
and fix and.
that's kind of what it takes. what's your production like? How much are you producing?
I think this
there?
year we might do our 3,000 barrels.
Really?
Everybody took a hit Q4 of last year. A couple of my brewing friends down in Charleston did a study, and what they found out based on their results was Q4 last year in 2017 was one of the worst quarters for food and bev and hospitality since the Depression. And we felt it because we were steaming along, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what is going on?
Yeah.
But it was a good thing. A little bit of heat sharpen your swords, and I'm a firm believer in adapt or die. So it forced us to kind of look at some of the things, where we were headed, what we were doing, kind of revisit our business plan and make sure that it fell in line with the current culture, being a responsible steward of the community, and just what we wanted to do is make damn good beer and make people happy. So it forced us to change some things for the better.
What kind of things did you change?
Just the scope of what we planned on doing, and we found that we needed to improve our marketing. We needed to divest our interests, and we are focusing on a couple other things. Like we're trying to, which I think it's going to be a good thing for this business. But we throw a lot of parties, and things are starting to get. The events are starting to get bigger and bigger.
It's
and
almost
bigger.
like you attract drinkers.
Yeah, and so now we're looking at building an events space here on site. We're currently at 10,000 square foot production facility with a 5,000 square foot beer garden, but we're brewing a lot of beer for packaging, or it's raining,
Yeah, right.
it gets a lot smaller. And plus, I mean, just the amount we've been growing, we're just jam-packed wall to wall. And we are on about 7.5 acres, and we have a nice even lot over there, and we were like, hey, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, yep.
So
I interviewed you or talked to you a little bit a few years ago when I was doing a story for AAA. And I know at that time you guys were planning on planting stuff out back and growing some of your own ingredients. How is that going? Is that...
The main thing I'm proud of is we have an orchard that way, and one of the ideas I wanted, like when we first started here, our wheat beer actually had we worked with a local yeast company, and we actually captured a local wild yeast and had it tested and everything. And it turns out it's a Bavarian wheat strain that's made its way to Clemson, South Carolina, and so that's what we used. We used local grain in that, but there's an overwhelming demand to have it in cans, and and that's kind of where the market's headed. So we reformulated the recipe a little bit to accommodate for that. But back to the orchard, we use that same technique in our orchard with some Clemson PhD students who actually did their thesis on it. So they captured a couple strains of wild yeast bacteria like Lactobacillus, a couple strains of Saccharomyces, some Pediococcus, some Brettanomyces. And we actually, figured out what everything tasted like, and it was up to them to figure out how to capture it, how to grow it, how to kill it, how to clean it, how to harvest it, how to regrow it, how to brew beer with it. We actually found one of the people that was on that staff actually worked at a winery, so they were familiar with barrels, and so we actually have cultures on site of our very own house strain of Lactobacillus, and we use it for barrel aging. And the idea is to take that strain one day and actually expand. When we expand and have a packaging hall, it'd be nice to be able to accommodate to start doing sours and stuff like that.
Drew bartends at Smoke on the Water on Augusta Street in downtown Greenville, and I know that...
Which is awesome. You need
Yes.
to go.
Happy
Yes.
hour
Awesome
4 to
barbecue.
7.
And so I know that I go in there quite a bit, so I know there's a Brewery 85 beer always on the stick there.
And that I'm going to tell you what, for Southern cuisine in Greenville, that's one of the perfect places to go.
I agree
That's one of the-
wholeheartedly. But I brought that up simply because I know you guys do a lot of distribution keg-wise around, but I see some cans in the cooler behind you. What are you doing in the way of canning? Are there certain beers that you're canning all the time?
Some of our year-rounds, we have a Southern style pale ale. It's kind of akin to like, I won't lie, one of my favorite, I lied to you earlier, one of my favorite American beers is Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Okay.
And it's right there up in Mills River. It's an hour away.
Yep.
And it's a great little date, and it's actually a great place to take our kids.
That's a beautiful place.
It's
up there.
awesome.
Yeah, it is.
And Mr. Grossman's super nice, and we share a lot of mutual business ethic ideas and stuff like that. And so we have that. We have our Greenville IPA, which is we can't keep a lot of spirit stock. That's the one that, it's a good problem to have when
Right.
when people are clamoring for your beer, and it's like, hey, we're making it as fast as we can.
Yep.
We have our Quitting Time Ellisbach, which is our best seller overall in all of our markets.
That's probably the most aptly named beer I've ever had.
It's a 7.5%. Think about a strong German lager. That's kind of what it is. And then we also package a few seasonals. Like we have a Fat Lighter IPA for the wintertime. Fat Lighter's country folk know what that is. It's a piece of the stump of pine. All the sap's gone to the bottom of the tree. They cut the tree, and then that stuff lights like gasoline and stays lit. So all the country folk use it to light their fireplaces and everything. And then we're about to package our Tropic Thunder Double IPA for the summer. And we're looking to put a bunch more seasonals in cans. But we also do our Yeoman's Brown Ale, which is when we were home brewing, me and Jeremy and Meredith, this was the beer we always came back to. The first beer we ever brewed was brown ale. And then we brewed 2 or 3 more. And then we brewed the brown ale. And then we brewed 2 or 3 more. And we got a kegerator, and this always seemed to stay on tap. Used to be Buddy's Brown Ale. We put my Bulldog down in February, but he would have been happy with, he was our old brew dog. He would have been happy with how we're growing. And our new, speaking of Augustiner lager, this, German lagers, that's my bread and butter. And we finally figured out the yeast situation. We don't like to filter a lot of our beers. So I finally found a yeast with the Brewing Science Institute, PSI, out of Colorado, that I'm very happy with. Where we don't have to filter this lager. We can just let it lager and ferment it and lager it in the right amount of time, get it in cans, and it won't mutate or mess up or anything as of yet. But we've done our due diligence. We're using our quality assurance and quality control lab a lot more here on site. We've been scoping a lot of stuff and doing acid tests, and we're doing our due diligence now. And I think it's really starting to show in our final product. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot what the question was. But
Canning.
it was interesting, whatever you said. So.
Honestly, canning, draft, you kind of have to share space. I mean, the pie is growing.
Sure.
The market's growing, but that was one of the things we changed around the New Year's. Like, okay, we need to focus on packaging. And our Achilles heel now is just tariffs, trade wars, metal pricing. We're lucky enough to get back with our former canning company out of Mexico and skip all the tariffs.
Yeah.
But the downside that nobody ever sees is like, well, you can't just order one pallet. It's going to be one truck, either one brand or 2 brands, which is 25 pallets of 7,000 plus cans a pallet, and you have to buy a whole truckload, which is expensive, very expensive.
And then where do you put them? Where do you store them? That's the other. Yeah, that's the other issue.
Right now we have these Connex trailers that do a good job for us. We can buy them real cheap from a place down in Charleston that just is going to throw them away. They refurbish them. And you went to Highland, right? You guys did a video with Highland. They have a bunch of those things up there. It's really awesome.
Yep.
I like the layout of that brewery a lot.
In terms of small craft breweries, that is like the big dog.
Yeah.
In Asheville, and they are so nice.
Yep.
And so accommodating and so receptive and so friendly.
Yep.
I love going up there. I love hanging out with them. It's a terrific.
Yeah.
It's a
and the
terrific
Wong family is
experience.
just a pillar of Southern brewing in this region.
Yeah.
They're
Oh yeah.
awesome people.
Yep. They certainly are. So you've got the beer garden out back.
Yes, sir.
And I assume because you've cannibalized so much of your interior space with expanding your brewery, that must be where most of the action is when this place gets busy if it's not raining.
Yes and no.
Really?
Yeah, so we always have a plan A and a plan B.
Yeah.
And plan B stinks because it rains and the facility's so nice and beautiful and we like to keep it clean, but if plan B happens, we have to move everything onto the packaging and brewing floor and be very careful not to cross-contaminate or let grain dust or all that kind of stuff. And then Monday morning comes around and it's a headache to move it all back, and then all those pallets are dirty and I have to clean the brew floor. Thank God for assistant brewers and interns. We've got a super cool crew here. They're some of the hardest working guys in Greenville.
Drew would be happy to come and help clean up on Mondays,
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he lives. For
Oh,
that
open
kind
up a
of stuff.
tap.
Did you guys trick me? Is this an interview? Is this a surprise?
I need a job.
He needs to pick up work. Drew, you were asking Will before we started rolling cameras about the charity work. Why don't you pick up on that?
Well, the first thing I really want to know about is what we stopped on was your wrestling beforehand.
Yeah, sure. And that was an important. Everybody always asks me like, what would you change? Differently, I wouldn't change much, man. And wrestling was actually like people like, you used to wrestle, and it's like, yeah, I had a fun time. I used to do professional wrestling over the upstate, mostly out of Spartanburg. And believe it or not, it taught me how to think on my feet, how to talk to a crowd of people, and how to sell something that wasn't there. Because with wrestling, like what you're selling is, it's not there until you do it, and then it's gone. And so if you can sell nothing out of thin air, then you can certainly sell beer.
You can hawk a few beers.
That was like your post-grad school was wrestling.
Right. Well, yeah, it was one of the cool things that kind of, something I always wanted to do. I always grew up, you could see wrestlers on tanks. I always grew up a wrestling fan.
Who's your number one?
Flair.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You didn't have to think on it.
Cold. No. Well, I was
That
about to
should have
say,
been one of the.
everybody's like, they're always, well, Hulk Hogan's the best. Hulk Hogan was great, but I was a
Ric Flair.
Four Horsemen, Stinger, Big Van Vader, Ron Simmons. We watched a lot of WCW in our household.
Good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so also you've got a wrestling event coming up here.
We do,
Yeah.
this Saturday. So plan A is we have it on the, and that's going to be awesome because we have it all laid out. And plan B is just, we got to figure it out, but it's just going to be a tight squeeze.
Well, like you have that a lot with wrestling, so
Yeah.
action.
We switched beers.
Yeah, we took a little break because we decided we needed more beer, and so we're back at it. Drew?
Yeah, so before we were rolling, you were telling me about you partner with the one of the humane societies around here.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for bringing that up. One of our awesome partners is we work a lot with Greenville County Animal Care for adoptive services. And what they are is they take not just dogs, but other animals too, but all breeds of dogs, even bully breeds, which are some of my favorite types of dogs that kind of get a bad rap. And we're trying to raise money for them to become a no-kill shelter here shortly in the future. It's just a wonderful group of people. And how it works out is we partner with, they're called Partners in Animal Care. So it's a third-party group. So we raise money along with them, and then they take the money and they donate it to the county. Because once you start mixing beer and politics and all that, you know. But it's really awesome. So like one Sunday out of the month, usually in the hotter months, so starting usually in April, all the way to October or September this year. I'm not sure. But they have, everybody comes out, you make a donation, get a couple beers. We have a selection of beers, you get some food, you bring your dog out, there's giveaways, there's vendors. It's a fun time.
And what day of the week you run this on?
Sundays.
Sundays?
Usually the one Sunday a month towards the end of the month, not necessarily the last Sunday, from 2 to 4. So we always on Sundays have a concert series from 2 to 4. And lately we've been, just kind of combining the two events, and it's been awesome.
Very cool. That's good.
It's easy to be friendly when you make beer, if that makes sense. But,
right, yep.
And it's actually a great tool to raise money.
Because who doesn't like beer?
What?
Because who doesn't like
Yeah,
beer?
exactly.
Is there a beer? We've talked about a bunch of the beers that you guys are brewing. Is there a beer that you haven't brewed yet that you guys are kind of jonesing to do? You mentioned sours
There's a bunch that we want to do before we're done. I personally want to do like a West Coast style, just a clean, easy drinking IPA, and kind of trick people into liking IPAs that don't normally like hops.
Right.
Because I'm not a hops fan.
I'm not either.
I want an IPA that I like to drink, and that's the cool thing about brew schools. A lot of my buddies moved out to San Diego, and they work for. If I have a problem, I can just be like, hey, XYZ, what are your thoughts? And I can have a nano brewer down in Brazil, all the way up to guy who works on a brewed egg at Lagunitas, Chicago. Guys that work over in Japan.
Yep.
I get all kinds of answers.
So you've got a lot of resources to draw on.
Right, and a lot of the guys live in Southern California.
Yep.
And have been dying to help me out. So everybody gets to take a crack at the brew house, and that's one of the things, because I know my wife wants to make a Christmas like nut spiced beer, so that'll be good. But we try to. There's the police.
Well, geez.
we gotta hurry up.
But we're not done by any means. We want to bring anything and everything under the sun except for the New England style IPA.
Okay.
Because everyone else is already doing those.
Yeah.
That's one of our big things. Is we like to number one, fly on the radar. Number two, everybody does yoga at their breweries. There's nothing wrong with that. My idea is like we can do something else. We can come up with something better.
Yeah.
It's easy to do what everybody else is doing. Let's do something else.
I think that is the great thing about craft brewing today, is the chances that you guys are willing to take, and the creativity that you're putting into beer. I'm sort of a straight and narrow kind of guy in terms of what I eat and drink. But boy, I've been introduced to some fabulous beers in doing these kind of things that I would have never ordered on my own. Never, ever would have ordered them on my own.
Or just overlooked on the menu.
Right, yep.
And that's kind of what we aim to do. We want to.
You want to be those items on the menu?
Yeah, well, not to say we want to be an overlooked item, but honestly, like, I love our pale ale. I love our Greenville because, like, it's the 6-pack that people keep in their fridge. I understand it, and that's awesome because I do it too. People are going to go all around and try all sorts, and that's what craft beer is all about. But, like, at the end of the day, I want somebody to be like, yeah, I love all that stuff, but you want some Greenville? You want some Yeomans? That's what I keep, at my house at all times.
Yep. They have, again, touching back on Smoke on the Water, that's my Sunday beer drinking spot. And I've been drinking beer there for 10 years on Sundays. And they order beer specifically for me, which is nice. I love that. But lately, we've been drinking a little bit of Yeomans there, and I like that a lot. What is this that we stopped the cameras to pour?
So this is called Little Miss Say. It is a traditional saison. This is one that Matthew brewed, Matthew Nesbitt, and he did a damn good job. If I can say so myself.
It's good.
It's changed slightly for the better over the years. That's the cool thing about getting to do these seasons. They just get better and better. And this Tropic Thunder coming up is going to be the best one we brewed. But he did a real good job. And one of the fun parts is we got to taste a few like traditional saisons, and that's what we were aiming for. Is just traditional northern French saison, farmhouse style kind of deal. And I think he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I agree. This is my tastes are expanding into saisons. I'm not to sours yet, and probably never will be. But I've grown to really like saisons, and this is an exceptional one. I think.
Thank you very much. I'll let him know. He's probably hiding back there somewhere.
Yeah, I met him. I put him to work earlier today looking for some things for me, and so I met him. Good guy. So is there a beer that we have not talked about that you would like to sort of...
I think we covered it, man. We got everything. I'm trying to look. There's not much, except for, our 864 Weizen is a traditional German-style wheat beer. And it's about 5%, and it'll be in cans hopefully next spring. And other than that, I think we nailed it. We covered everything.
Well, we talked.
Wouldn't change a damn thing.
We talked about everything from wrestling to dogs. I don't know how you cover anything more than that. Anything else on your mind, Drew?
Just the beer.
All right.
It's a damn good beer.
I agree. Well, with that then, gentlemen,
Cheers.
Salud, fellas.
Will, thanks for the invite.
Absolutely.
Drew, thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you next time.